What's up guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment, and in this video I'm going to be telling you everything that you need to know about the John Deere Z735M. So let's jump right into that and go ahead and start talking about this model number and what exactly it means. Now, in the zero-turn line of mowers from John Deere, the model numbers will really tell you a lot here about the machine. So here at the front, we do have the Z. This is going to indicate that this is a zero-turn mower. Now, the next number is going to be your series indicator. So what I mean by that is within the zero-turn lineup, there are 4 different series of mowers. You're going to have your Z3s, your Z5s, your Z7s, and Z9s, and those go up in size as you go up in number. So here we're at a Z7, so this is going to be your higher residential, lower commercial grade mower. Next is going to be our engine rating number here. Now this is used from John Deere. It doesn't necessarily indicate the exact horsepower, but it gives you an idea. So for instance, in the Z700 series, we have 5 different mowers. We have the Z720E, the Z735E, the Z730M, the Z735M, and the Z740R. So as we go up in this number, also we're going to go up in horsepower. Next is going to be our engine brand indicator. So on this, we're either going to have a 5 or a 0. If this is a 5, then you will have a Briggs & Stratton engine. If it is a 0, then this will be a Kawasaki engine. And lastly, we have our ending letter here, which is going to indicate trim level. So as I mentioned before, we're going to have those Z7Es, Z7Ms as we have here, and a Z7R. And as those move up from E, M, and R, just like in a lot of other John Deere equipment, you're going to gain more features as you go from that E, which is kind of your economy level, to the M here, which is like kind of our mid-spec model, and then the R, which is going to be more like your Cadillac or your more loaded out version. Next, let's talk about operator station, as this is where you are going to be spending all of your time at the foot platform. This is going to be a great option for the different height of operators. As you can see, it is easily removed here from the machine. And then also right down here, you will notice that we have 3 different slots in the frame here to be able to change the length of this foot platform. So if we put it here on our farthest out notch, this puts our foot platform out further for those operators that are going to have those longer legs. And then we can move that to the middle slot as it was before, or we can move it all the way back to the slots that are closest to the seat. That way, for those shorter operators, their legs are able to reach this foot platform and to be able to ride comfortably. Now, a couple other nice things about this foot platform is that you can add things to this. One is going to be a floor mat that will go right down here, and then also we can add foot pegs in these 2 sets of holes here to be able to give you just a little more grip, a little extra place to put your feet to rest them. And they can also be used as handles to be able to pull this foot platform up and out. Next is going to be our control levers. A couple of things about them. For one, they do have this nice gripping texture to them. And also, as you can see, they have plenty of curvature here. This is going to give you different positions to put your hands to be able to make you more comfortable whenever operating this machine. Now, also a nice feature about these handles is that they are adjustable. So they will have 2 height positions and then multiple positions where you can adjust them fore and aft, or you can put them at an angle forward or an angle backward, all by these 2 adjustable screws here. As you can see, we have the notches here that are open to where we can move this down. But then also you'll notice that these holes are slotted. That way you can move this lever either more towards you or further away, or put them on an angle to give that maximum amount of comfort on your operating handles. Next is going to be the seat, and there are plenty of features just to go on and on about this seat. So for one, this is going to be a 22-inch high back seat. It is going to have adjustable armrests. So if we raise these armrests up, we have this little screw right here that we can simply twist out to raise that armrest up or to twist in to be able to lower those down, to make sure to fit your arms to help you rest those on the operating levers to make you more comfortable. Now, as far as adjustability fore and aft, you are going to have 2 inches of slide going forward or backward. But this machine is also going to be equipped with the Comfort Glide system. Now, what that is that you have the option of moving this seat and keeping it in one spot, or you can go all the way over into the right-hand position with our lever right here below the seat. And this is going to activate Comfort Glide that allows that seat to glide back and forth to be able to give that comfort in those bumpy situations. Now, as far as what we have for suspension on the seat, if we raise this seat up, which by doing that, we have a lever here on the back that we would simply open up, raise this seat up, and as you'll see here, we have 2 springs here at the back that are going to be a 4-position adjustable spring. So if you're looking for that softer or firmer ride, you can simply raise these up, scoot them in, or scoot them back to change that position, and then set them down, and they will lock in whichever position that you would like to have them. Once you have your operator station adjusted to you for that perfect ride, the next thing that we need to know is where our operating controls are. Now, everything that you are going to need to adjust or change or to start the machine, everything is going to be over here on the right-hand side of the machine, easy to access. So first thing we'll start with is right here at the front, we have our height of cut adjustment and our deck raise and lower. Now, this is a little bit different system than what you'll see on a Z5 and a little bit different from a Z9, but it's kind of a conglomerate of the two. So what we have here is we have our turn dial system. Now, this is going to go from 1.5 inches all the way up to 5 inches, and it's as easy as turning this dial to change what height you want that to be at. And then what you'll notice is over here to the left side of that dial, we have this little bit of a notch that sticks out here in the plastic, and this is going to be where our indicator is for which position that we're picking. Now, these are going to be in 1/4 inch increments, so you have 1/4 inch increments, like I said, all the way from 1.5 up to 5 inches. We're going to turn that dial and say if we wanted to cut at 3 inches here, the next thing that we're going to do is reach down with our foot to our foot raise and lower, which is very easy to push in and use as this is going to be a spring assisted system. So if you are a little bit lacking in the leg strength there, you should not have a problem with this since it is spring assisted, but we're going to push in with that. Then we have this yellow lever right here in front of our dial that tells us right here on top to push with the foot and then raise up on this handle, and that unlocks the deck, and then we're just going to simply let off with our foot, and that is going to drop the deck down into that cutting position or that cutting height that we want. Now, whenever we're ready to raise this back up into transport mode, the only thing we have to do is reach back up with our foot here, push it all the way forward, and as you hear that lock there at the top, it's going to lock that into the transport mode just simply by pushing that. We don't have to adjust anything here on our dial, just push in and you're ready to go. Now, as we move back, the next thing that we'll see is going to be this yellow rocker switch here, and this is going to be our PTO engage switch or our blade engagement switch. So once we're going, we have the machine out of park, which, by the way, our parking feature, which I'll demonstrate here in a few minutes, is an integrated park system that is within your handles here. So if you'll notice here, and like I showed on the operator platform, there is no hand-operated parking brake, there is no foot-operated parking brake. Once we pull the handles in, there are 2 buttons right here on the side of where these handles rest in the frame, and these are going to be the actuators to set the parking brake. So once we push these handles out, it pushes those buttons in, and that activates the parking brake, and then once we pull them in, then we deactivate the parking brake and we're ready to go. Now, this makes for a nice quick adjustment on the go. If we need to stop, we're in the middle of mowing, we can simply throw out our parking brake handles, turn off our blades with our yellow PTO engaged switch here, get off of the mower with it still running but our blades disengaged, and then we can hop off, move an item, pick up some trash, and we can get right back on the mower, re-engage our blades, pull our handles in, and then we're right back to mowing. So next, to the left of our PTO switch is going to be our hour meter and service meter. Now this is going to flash up obviously your hours at all time of your engine hours, and then also it'll pop up these two service lights here that are going to tell you that you need certain services done, which there is going to be an indicator panel telling you what all those services are on the machine and also in your operator manual. Now right back behind that is going to be our ignition switch, and of course we have the on position, which is going to activate our hour meter, and then we also have the start position here. Right behind that, we are going to have that choke that we're going to simply pull up for those cold starts, and then we also have our throttle lever right over here on the right hand side. Now next is going to be a feature that comes standard in your operator control panel, but you'll notice that we have this little cutout box right here behind our throttle lever and choke lever. This is going to be a cutout where you can simply cut this plastic piece out and be able to add in a switch for multiple different things. If we want to add lights to this machine, or maybe we want to add a sprayer that we can simply just flip on and off right here at the operator station, you do have this cutout to be able to add that one switch to your operator controls. Lastly, over here on the right hand side, along with our operator controls, we're also going to have this large cup holder here with an extra little indention. Now this can be used for multiple things. It was designed for cups with handles. That way you can set that large cup down in, and if it has that handle, you have this extra slot for that to sit in. But then also this is a good place to store maybe your keys or your phone, whatever those other things are that you're going to have on board. Now also here at the seat, if you'll notice over here on the right hand side, we do have a seat belt clasp on this side. So our seat belt will come from the left hand side over to the right. Now this is very important to this mower when we're talking about a safety feature, because also if you notice on the Z7s we do have this rollover protection system. So whenever we're using this mower and we're on those areas that have a little bit of an incline, or maybe we're mowing on the side of a hill, or any type of situation that we may get a little bit sticky, a little bit eerie, whether we're going to tip this thing over, we want to make sure and have our rollover protection system up and our seat belt on, because if we do get in that rollover, upset, or overturn situation, this roll bar is designed to keep you safe while in the operator station of this mower. This is designed to withstand the weight of the machine to keep it from crushing you if you were to get into that situation where you turn this over. So once we had that seat belt on, we had our ROPS up, and we were on that hillside. If we happen to start to tip over to the front or to the back or to the side, wherever we're at, we want to make sure that we hold on into that mower. We're not trying to jump off. We're staying in that machine and then leaning away from the fall until the fall is complete, and then we can safely exit the machine. Now, lastly on operating is one thing that often gets missed and is sometimes one of the most frequent complaints that we'll hear on a zero-turn mower, is that whenever we are in driving mode here with our sticks, it seems like when we have them pushed all the way forward, is that one, it may tend to pull to one side or the other. So this is simply just a tracking adjustment issue. So what this means is that this lever may be set to where it is pushing further forward than the other lever, which is causing this transmission on this side to go just a little faster than the one on our other side. So this causes that pull, and so we're constantly having to adjust where our hands are instead of being able to keep them in the same position. So how we adjust this on the Z700s is right here at these two holes right below our sticks here, right on the front. And this is going to take a 13mm socket to adjust this. And all we're going to do is go in with our 13mm socket, and what this does is adjust this screw that's right here on the inside, and we can simply turn it to the right to be able to push that screw further in. So if this stick happens to be going faster than our left side, we can simply screw this in. That way that this lever cannot go as far forward. That way the tracking is on. Or if we have the opposite issue and we want to pull the other side out, we can simply adjust this tracking issue to fix that steering issue where we don't have that pull. with that 13mm socket. Moving to the left-hand side of the machine here, we have two main features that are very big features that we definitely need to talk about. One is going to be on the left-hand side is where our fuel cap is. And so right here, we have this nice large 3.5-inch opening with that fuel cap and tethered lid. So that way, whenever you're adding fuel to this mower, you're not going to lose that lid. So along with this large opening, you are going to have an 8-gallon fuel capacity. Now, as a general rule of thumb, mowers generally burn 1 gallon an hour. So with that 8-gallon fuel capacity, you have the capacity to mow for a full 8-hour day. Now, one thing that you might not have noticed whenever I had the seat flipped up and we were talking about the springs is that the battery is not located underneath the seat. Actually, what is going to be underneath the seat is that 8-gallon fuel tank, and our battery sits right up here on the left-hand side to where it can be easily opened by the turn of a plastic knob here, and then removing this top, and our battery is right here on top where it is easy to access, and it does have a bungee strap holding it in. But if you run into those situations where you're having to change out this battery, charge it up, or maybe just install that trickle charger, super easy to get to, very quick and easy. We're not having to bend over that mower and get down underneath to pull that battery out, as it's right here on top, easy to get to. Now, this lid, some people have concerns about, well, is this battery going to get wet? Is it going to get more weather damage? Well, the great thing about that is that integrated in this design is this nice channel here that whenever this lid is installed, any of that water runoff is actually going to go down into this channel and then drain right out the back here, right out the back of the mower. So the other thing that's incorporated in that, since we do have such that good weather sealant here, is that you do have a nice storage space right here. Pretty small, but if we're needing to keep those things on hand, like we talked about, that 13mm socket, or maybe a small set of keys, you do have that storage space right here. Now, also underneath this battery cover is where you're going to see your daily service charts. So if we look right in here, it's going to tell us the things that we need to check before each use and after each use. It's also going to have some good information on how much engine oil this is going to take, how much hydraulic oil, and also our tire pressures here. Moving on to the engine, let's talk a little bit about specs and then also point out the service points on this engine. Now, later on, if you're looking for a video on how to service this engine, I will have that video posted on our other channel, 24/7 Parts, so make sure to go check that out. But what we're looking at here is going to be an HTR 810 Briggs & Stratton engine. Now, this often gets confused because when people come up and they look at these mowers, they see instantly the John Deere 25 horsepower sticker here, and John Deere does have their hand in making sure and designing this engine the way that they want it, but this is a Briggs & Stratton engine. So also, if we look over here on the side, just to confirm that, you will see this sticker that is going to have the Briggs & Stratton logo on it and give you the serial number of that engine. Now, some other things about this engine is that it is going to be air cooled. So we do have our air filter right here on top, easy to access. This is also going to be installed with an engine oil cooler, which is sort of an upgraded feature that we don't necessarily see on all mowers. So that is a nice feature to this engine. Now, as far as service points, it's going to have all of your normal service points that you need to make sure and know where they are. For one, we're going to have our oil fill and dipstick right here. So we can simply remove that, pull that dipstick out, and be able to check our oil level. Right next to that is going to be our engine oil drain. Now, this is a nice feature as it is on a flex hose to where you can simply drop this out, drop this down back behind the machine, drain your oil to avoid that mess and spillage that you may get with just a normal plug on the bottom side of that engine. Now, this is going to be a V-twin engine, meaning that we are going to have those 2 cylinders, so we will have 2 spark plugs to replace, and those will be on each side of the machine right here by our valve cover. So we'll have one on the left-hand side and then one on the right-hand side. Now, also our fuel and oil filter are also going to be over here on the right-hand side. So the oil filter located kind of down, tucked back towards the seat at the bottom of the engine here, you'll see your oil filter, and then right next to that is going to be your fuel filter. Now, some other things that you might keep in mind on this engine, for one, is going to be our fuel pump that is also over here on the right-hand side. Once you've had one of these mowers for a while, these are a simple vacuum pump, and sometimes when we have those fuel issues, this is a very quick and easy fix to get that mower back to running, so just make sure to know where that is. Another item that often gets overlooked or just not even thought about whenever we're looking into mowers is the type of transmissions or transaxles that these machines have. Now here on the Z700, we are going to have the Hydro Gear ZT3200s. Now, this is going to range just like this mower does on the very high spectrum of the residential and the low spectrum of the commercial grade mowers. So these are going to provide plenty of weight capacity for this mower. They are going to have the 1-inch axles coming off of them out to the wheels, and they're also going to produce speeds of up to 9.5 miles an hour going forward and 4 miles per hour going backward. Now, a couple of things we need to know service points wise on these transmissions is, for one, we need to know where our fluid fill is, which is going to be right here in front of the engine. And you will have a sight gauge here where you can make sure to check that fluid. And this one reservoir is going to service both engines. Instead of having 2 separate reservoirs, you do just have that one reservoir to service both engines. Now, the other thing that we need to know about is going to be our transmission disengage levers. Now, on a lot of machines, these are going to be 2 simple levers that we either twist or hook into a certain position, but on the Z700, you're actually going to have a knob on each side here that we're going to have to loosen, and then push that knob all the way forward and then tighten that down. And then what this is going to do is this is going to disengage that transmission and make it to where we can push this machine in case we're in those situations where our machine won't start or it's stalled out and we need to get it either off of the yard or out of the road. Hopefully we never have to use this feature, but it is there to make sure to unlock those transmissions if we need to push this machine. Now let's talk about the feature to this mower that really makes it shine, which is going to be the actual mower deck itself. In the Z735M, we can get either a 48-inch deck, a 54-inch, or a 60-inch deck. Now all of these are going to be the high capacity pro decks. Now down in the Z5s is where we start to see the high capacity decks, and then once we move up into the Z7, we move into that high capacity pro. Now a lot of times for people that are familiar with John Deere mowers, they'll see this deck on the mower and they think immediately that this is a 7-iron deck, and though it is designed almost exactly like the 7-iron deck, it actually is not. This is going to be 9-gauge steel instead of 7-gauge steel, so just a little bit thinner than your commercial mowers, but it is going to be on that highest end of deck thickness in the residential series. So some of the things that you'll see here on the high capacity pro decks is you will see this heavy duty footstep here. Now this is meant to be used to get on and off the mower. As you see, it has these rugged grips here to make sure that you're not going to slip off of this deck whenever you step on to the mower. You're also going to see dual captured anti-scalping wheels. Now what I mean by dual captured is that these are going to have frame pieces on each side of that anti-scalping wheel, and this is going to greatly reduce that risk of bending or breaking or damaging these anti-scalping wheels, as they are important to make sure that we're getting the right cut to our mower. Now, another thing about these anti-scalping wheels is that they are going to be adjustable. So if we look down here on the wheel, it's actually going to tell us in these slots that we need to, where we need to be for what type of height of cut we're going to be at. Now, another nice thing about the high capacity pro deck is that you're going to see all of these extra weld mounts on the side and on the front of the deck, especially over here on the edging side, as we know that this is the side that takes a lot of the brunt of that force when we're trying to get up against things to get that really nice clean edge. So we have these nice thick weld mounts here, and then we also have those in the front, along with another set of anti-scalping wheels that are dual captured, and those are going to be a dual set of rollers there in the front to help reduce that scalping in the front of the mower deck. Now with the 48, the 54, or the 60-inch deck, you are going to have 3 spindles on the mower and 3 blades, and these are going to be your only 3 grease points on this entire mower. So we can see right here on top of this spindle cover that we have this grease zerk sticking out, and then to get to our middle grease zerk, we can simply raise up remove that foot platform and get right to that center grease zerk. And then over on the right hand side, that one will be exposed easily like it is over here on the left. And the other nice thing about these spindles is that we do have the flip up spring loaded spindle covers. So whenever we're talking about deck life, one of the biggest things is making sure that we're keeping this clean, keeping dirt and debris out of these spindle housings or spindle pockets here. As the more dirt and debris we get in here, the harder it is on this belt, as that can start to get up, jam into the belt, make this spindle and pulley harder to spin whenever we're talking about running this deck. So we need to make sure, be flipping this up. They've made it very easy to raise this up, blow that stuff out. And that is another point that we want to make sure, is that as often as possible, we want to make sure when we're cleaning our decks that we are using air and not water. It actually even says it in two different places. Right here on the spindle cover, it says use air, not water. And what this does is this just adds to the life of that mower. The more wetness, the more moisture we get on these spindles or on this deck, the more damage that we're going to cause. Same thing when we're talking underneath. That's why we want to make sure and get this thing cleaned out as often as possible, because if we have those wet clumps of grass building up in this deck, all that's going to do is cause that moisture to sit, possibly cause rust spots, and possibly cause you damage down the road that you do not want to have to deal with. Now, another feature over here on the deck that we need to talk about is the leveling system. So what we have here is we have chain hangers on all four corners of this deck, and then our deck level can be adjusted right here at this hanger. Now, this is kind of a different process. It's going to be different than most other mowers that you've seen, but I've also done a video on this that you can go check out at 247parts.com to show you this exact method. But basically, we're going to need two different sizes of wrench, a 15 and a 16 millimeter. We're going to loosen the nut on the back side of this, and then put our other wrench here on the actual hanger itself, and then adjust this either up and down, and then using our leveling gauge, making sure to get that in the measurement that we need to be at. And then you also have some incorporated little tick marks made into the hanger brackets here to help you kind of decide, okay, if I'm at the middle tick mark here, I'm gonna shoot for the middle tick mark on my other adjustments to get that level, and then make sure that we're checking those things out. Now, over on the right-hand side, we're gonna see that exact same setup like I talked about with the anti-scalping wheels, with our leveling system, our flip open cover, but this is going to be our discharge side. So what we'll have here is a spring-loaded discharge chute. This is gonna help protect material coming back onto you. It's also going to deflect it and push it backwards in the direction it needs to go. And then once we flip that open, we have this super large opening here that's going to add to the airflow. Now, airflow is a huge part of these decks, and that's one reason why John Deere has stayed tried and true with the stamped deck design. The thing about a stamped deck is that it has no welded corners, so it has no hard corners in it, and so that allows for material and airflow to circulate a lot better than in a deck that does have a hard welded corner. While we're over here on the right hand side, let's go ahead and talk about frame, build of this mower, and then also about the tires and tire options that are going to be on these mowers. Now, starting with the frame, first thing you'll notice is just how robust and big this piece of frame is that runs all the way down the side of this mower and continues all the way out to the rear of the mower. And this is going to be 2x3 steel tubing. We are going to have these large welded front casters with the large yokes here to make sure to house these 13x6.5-6 tires here. Now, these are going to be pneumatic tires, but they are very, very solid. Then they are robust enough and heavy enough to make sure and carry the heavy load of this frame. Now, moving back to the rear tires, you're going to see two different options on this machine. They are going to differ between a 48-inch deck like we have here, and then the 54 and 60 will have a different tire option. So what we see here is going to be a 23x9.5-12, and then once we move up to the 54-inch deck and the 60-inch deck, we're looking at a 23x10.5-12. So you're looking at a little wider tire on those larger deck machines, and this is just to make sure to get a better and more evenly distributed weight out of those tires. That way it's able to carry that extra weight of the deck and to be able to give a softer, more even ride whenever we're using this heavy built mower. Now, along with that 2x3-inch steel tubing that runs all the way down and acts as the main frame of this machine, you'll see many spots on this mower, such as the front here that's going to be our connector of those two frame pieces, where we are going to have the heavy welded spots. There aren't going to be a ton of frame pieces that are going to be bolted together. Most of what you're going to see are going to be heavy pieces of steel welded together, which is just adding to the overall strength of that machine and the durability. One more great thing about the frame and build of this mower is the intentional thought that John Deere put into something so simple, but tie down points. Now, as we know, we're gonna usually be hauling this mower from place to place. Not always do these mowers stay at one residence, or this may be used in a commercial application where we're constantly moving this around. So John Deere has incorporated 4 different tie down points on this mower. As to safely tie down a mower, you should be using 4 points of contact, 4 straps on this mower just to keep it secured, pulling it from all 4 corners. So what we'll see is that right here underneath that heavy frame, we've got 1 on each side here in the front. And then we also have built in at the rear here, 1 on each side, so that you have tie down points for all 4 of those corners. Now, lastly, let's talk about dimensions of this mower. Let's start out with overall length. So from front to rear, we are going to be 82 inches long. We're going to have a wheelbase from center to front wheel to center of back wheel of 49.9 inches. Width without the mower deck, we're looking at the widest point, 48.6 inches. Now, with the mower and the discharge chute down on a 48-inch deck, we're looking at just a touch over 62 inches. If we move up to that 54-inch deck, we're looking at just a touch over 68 inches. And if we move up to that 60-inch deck, then we're looking at a touch over 73 inches. Now, if you were to raise that mower chute up, that's going to give you an extra 9 inches of clearance. So you would just take those numbers. On that 62, we would jump down to 53. The 68, we're jumping down to 59. And the 73, we're jumping down to 64 inches. So that way you know just how wide of a space you need to get this machine in and out. Now, height is always another big concern. So if we have our ROPS in the up position, we're looking at 71 inches to the top of the ROPS. When we have that flipped down, our highest point is going to be at the back of the seat here. So we're looking at just a touch under 50 inches. Now, the last question is going to be weight. So whenever we're talking about the 48-inch deck model, we're looking at right at 950 pounds. That is without fuel. So 950 pounds. Then we move up to the 54, we're looking at 965 pounds. And then at the 60-inch deck model, we're looking at 990 pounds. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and hop on this mower, fire it up, let you hear just how it sounds with the blades on, with the blades off, and then I'm going to take it outside just to be able to demonstrate to you this parking brake feature so you know exactly what I was talking about whenever we went into that. So to start the mower up, I'm just going to simply raise up on the choke, put my throttle to about halfway, go ahead and turn this mower on. Once I hear it start to fire, I'm going to turn that choke off, and then I can adjust the throttle wherever I want it. Now, right here, I'm in the parking brake engaged mode. So my handles are out, my blades are off, but the mower is running. So I can stand up, I can get off of the mower, move those things like I need to, get right back on. And now I'm ready to pull the levers in. And then now I'm ready to be in drive mode. So once I'm in driving mode here, if I need to stop all of a sudden, I can throw those handles out and that engages that parking brake. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get turned around here so you can hear those blades engage. So once we're here, I'm gonna simply hit the button. You can hear that deck engage. Now, here is the thing that I was talking about this being an interlock park brake. So if I have the blades on, and I kick my levers out, those blades will stay on until I decide to stand up. And what that's going to do is just completely shut down the mower. So before I would want to get off, I need to make sure and turn those blades off, throttle down, and then if I needed to get off, I could get off with the mower running. Then I could go do those things that I need to do. And then whenever I'm done, I can simply turn it off just like that. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope you were able to see everything you needed to see about the John Deere Z735M. If you happen to like this video, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you're needing any parts at all for your John Deere equipment, make sure to go check out 247parts.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.